In Augusta, Georgia, a brutal and puzzling murder.
She's laying on the bed naked, and it looks like she's been strangled.
This homicide looks personal. A laser-focused detective who works outside the box.
Don't put blinders on and always keep an open mind.
He's got to tackle a case unlike any other. Filled with twists and turns.
I'm not involved in this murder.
He was lying through his teeth.
And a shocking discovery.
He was killed with a screwdriver.
He's working one murder, and then another one happens.
It was unbelievable. I've never heard of anything like that in my life. He told police, that's my stepson. Are you kidding me?
You know why we're here?
I had tons of questions, and I was gonna ask each and every one of them until I was able to break him.
We're 150 miles outside of Atlanta in Augusta, Georgia. Augusta was the home to legendary R&B singer James Brown, the godfather of soul.
The other thing Augusta's well known for is its golf courses. Every year, it hosts the Masters tournament, and thousands of tourists travel from all over the world just to be there. As a result, there's a lot of hotels and lodging in the area. And with that, police see a major increase in crime with the hotel industry.
But it's not always the big fancy ones that are targeted. In fact, there was a smaller extended stay hotel on the west side of Augusta back in 2018 when a young detective caught the case of a lifetime. On October 18, 2018, shortly before 10 a.m., a 911 call comes in about a dead female at the Red Roof Inn. Richmond County Police respond to the hotel and find a woman laying on the bed in room 177. She's mostly nude, and it shows signs of a violent death.
These are suspicious circumstances from the jump. That's when Detective Lucas Grant is assigned to the case.
Lucas has only been in homicide 1 year, but he's a rising star within the department. Shortly after 11 a.m., Detective Grant arrives on scene.
Well, one thing about me is I love helping people.
Lucas's grandfather, who spent a 25-year career in law enforcement, inspired him to do the same.
I fell in love with the same thing my grandfather did.
When he finally smelled the vapors of law enforcement, he knew that was his calling.
You the first on the scene?
Yes, sir. A maid originally found the body.
And they were able to find an ID of the victim, and her name was Ashley Knowles. And she was 35 years old.
Who was that?
His name's Wayne Hill.
They told me that person had attempted to go into the room when the cleaning lady went in.
Wayne Hill tells deputies he's friends with the victim.
He's acting funny.
He's concealing something, and that's going to pique the curiosity of Detective Grant and the other deputies on scene.
I'll speak with him later.
I made sure that Mr. Hill had been transported to the sheriff's office, so when I do leave, I'm able to go down there and interview him.
Find me some witnesses.
You got to knock on every door that's in proximity of your crime scene.
The thing that was alarming was whoever the suspect was, she allowed in that room because there was no damage to the threshold of the door, the locking.
It may be someone the victim is known to or knows of, and they open the door voluntarily, and at first there is no problem.
The victim is dressed in somewhat of a provocative type of outfit.
She's clad in attire that would insinuate that something was going on sexual.
When looking at the crime scene, the story that it told me was she was sexually assaulted.
Did y'all do a rape kit?
Yep.
Her bikini top is pulled down near her waist. It looks like it started off maybe as something of a consensual nature and something went awfully wrong.
The victim has contusions on her face. Obviously, it was a beating.
Possible strangulation. Look at her eyes.
There is some evidence of being choked out. There's some fecal hemorrhaging of her eyes. When a person's neck is compressed and the oxygen level is restricted to the eyes, that pressure to try to breathe and builds up in the head causes the blood vessels in the eyeballs to burst.
Such a horrible death.
He can only go by what he sees on the scene. And right now, foul play is afoot.
Maybe it was a robbery.
Her purse was dumped out on the bed. So I thought that someone did go through it. I knew that we needed to find answers, but the story behind the scene itself, that she was sexually assaulted and this was a robbery.
What happened here?
Every single item that's testable in that room, Detective Grant has to collect.
Any luck with any witnesses?
Nobody was answering doors or nobody was talking.
What Detective Grant did not get was a lot of cooperation, and that's not unusual.
What about the eyes in the sky?
I try and scan the area to see if there is going to be any surveillance video.
Hope they working.
Detective Grant hits pay dirt. He discovers that there is a surveillance camera pointing directly at the victim's room.
I need the video. An area camera on the property.
He's got to hope that this hotel may have captured the killer either coming in or leaving the room.
Talk to the manager.
10-4.
I love the way Detective Grant worked this scene. He's a quarterback, but he's not trying to catch the ball when he throws it. Teamwork in this situation is gonna make the dream work.
The video's coming later today.
I have Ashley's mother.
Hello? This is Detective Grant.
We were able to make contact with Mrs. Knowles' mother, who told us that she had already knew her daughter was deceased. And we asked, how did she know? And it was because her sister had received messages from Mr. Hill saying she was deceased.
Wayne Hill just shot to the top of the suspect list.
I'm very sorry about your loss. Wayne Hill told the family that Ashley was dead before we even knew it.
The question is, what's he hiding?
And is he involved in this homicide?
I'm headed back to the office.
I knew at that time the next step for me was to interview Mr. Hill.
He's got to put him in the box, and he's got to ask him questions about exactly what he knows about the death of this victim.
Such a horrible death.
Richmond County Detective Lucas Grant is working the murder of Ashley Knowles. Her lifeless body was found in a hotel on the west side of Augusta, Georgia.
Who's that?
His name's Wayne Hill.
Detective Grant is cooking with gas.
He is highly suspicious right now of Wayne Hill being the #1 suspect.
I'm headed back to the office.
It's time for Detective Grant to get in his face and get this guy's story.
I sit down with Mr. Hill in the interview room.
How did you know Ashley?
We hang out.
He had known Miss Knowles for 2 to 3 months. They had been involved in sexual encounters.
Now, that's important for Detective Grant because, in all appearances, this initial crime scene looks like a sexual assault homicide. During his interview, Hill falls under further suspicion when he admits to having a gun and drugs in his car.
Let's put this aside for a moment. Why were you at the hotel?
I had been there for a while.
And he said that he had been over to the room earlier, which is something he didn't disclose to the officers when he originally was spoken to.
Start from the beginning.
I met Ashley there.
He told me he arrived at the Red Roof Inn at 11 p.m.
They smoke some marijuana. Wayne Hill himself then leaves the victim by herself in the hotel room.
Then I got a strange message from Ashley.
Ashley Knowles actually sent a Facebook Messenger message to Wayne Hill saying she had a male in her room that was making her feel uncomfortable.
I came back, but I couldn't get a hold of her.
He's knocking on the door, and he can't get an answer.
He then returns to his vehicle until the cleaning lady comes and opens the door.
The story seems plausible, but Detective Grant feels like Hill is hiding something.
I don't think you're being straight with me.
But I am.
The fact that Wayne Hill is saying that he sat for 5 hours, literally till the sun came up, waiting for the maid to get in there, that's crazy.
Just tell me the truth.
I said, were you involved in physically assaulting Mrs. Knowles? And he gave a very firm and straight answer, and he said no.
Let's take a break.
Right now, he is looking very suspect in this whole thing.
Just then, the video from the crime scene arrives.
Detective Grant can now not only verify Wayne Hill's story, but see if there's anything else on that tape that's been undiscovered yet. We met with Lucas Grant to find out what he learned from the hotel's surveillance video.
So as I'm watching this video, I see a small sedan pulls up where it's Wayne Hill. And he goes right inside of room 177, just like he said in the interview. He says that they smoked some marijuana while they were in there. So I was able to fast forward in that video to where now Wayne Hill is leaving.
So what'd you see after that?
An unidentified black male arrives at the room.
A black male knocks on the hotel door, number 177, and she allows him to come in.
I started thinking from the interview I was in with Wayne.
Then I got a strange message from Ashley.
That's gotta be because of the guy that's in the room with him.
Absolutely. You see it in the video. Wayne comes back, knocks on the door, but no answer. I'm feeling really good until 6:35 in the morning, where Wayne is at the hotel room, and that's when the unidentified black male comes out of Ashley Knowles' hotel room.
The black male emerges from room 177. They look like they exchanged pleasantries, and the black male walks off. But hold on. He didn't tell you about that?
He did not tell me.
He left that out.
He left it out.
What are you feeling about Wayne Hill right now?
Sound like he's stinking to me.
Right. So now I have the opportunity to go back into that interview with more information than I did before. But of course I get called to court. And it's like, man, why now? Why can't it wait? You know, I'm in the middle of something. I'm
Gut punch.
I'm trying to get to where I need to be in this case, and now I have to leave.
You gotta shift gears and depend on your partners to cover that.
Well, I was able to go to a seasoned investigator. I knew that he was gonna go into that interview and get everything that I needed for when I returned.
Why didn't you tell us about the black guy? The one who came out of Ashley's room?
I don't know why I didn't say anything before.
Maybe Wayne Hill didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it's very curious and it's damn sure suspicious.
He said something about she was ready for you, and then he just kept walking.
Describe him.
He had dreads.
He says black male, approximately 30 to 40 years of age, dark skin. He's about 5'8" to 5'10".
Clothing, something?
A black hoodie.
Hoodie?
So what I miss?
I'm not involved in this murder.
Detective Grant isn't ready to clear Hill just yet.
What do you want to do?
Place him under arrest.
All right, stand up, sir.
Detective Grant charges Wayne Hill for the drugs and the firearm in his vehicle. He now has Wayne Hill on ice. He's in the county jail. He can go back to Wayne Hill at his convenience. Detective Grant contacts Ashley's family, searching for answers.
I wanted to try and find out background about Miss Knowles.
He speaks with her sister.
Ashley was going through a rough patch.
She had just recently lost her father and started to spiral downhill from there. She was struggling with drug addiction, And then that led to a life of prostitution. That does not make her a bad person.
Ashley booked clients online.
Ms. Knowles was known to meet with them at certain hotel rooms.
Did she have any regular clients?
I don't know.
Detective Grant's got to consider maybe this was some kind of sexual pay-for-money thing with this unidentified black male.
I knew that possibly could be a lead, but another call comes in.
Detective Grant.
We need you to come to a home in Southwest Augusta.
They said, you have another one. And I said, another what? And they say, another homicide. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
2 murders in 1 day for this investigator, that's crazy.
He's got to tap in and go.
I'm on my way.
I wasn't going home. I was going out to that scene to work that homicide as well.
I'm not involved in this murder.
Detective Lucas Grant is chasing down the suspect in the murder of Ashley Knowles.
Detective Grant.
And just as that case is heating up, he gets a call that there's another murder.
We need you to come to a home in Southwest Augusta.
Being Richmond County's one and only homicide detective, he's got to drop everything and head to this new scene.
I'm on my way.
It's going to be a long night for Detective Grant, but he's got this.
Detective Grant arrives on scene, speaks to the first responding deputy, learns that the victim is the homeowner, 73-year-old Esau Royal.
Who found the body?
Family member. They're waiting to speak to you.
I'm gonna take a walk through first.
As Detective Grant enters the home, he notices there's no sign of forced entry, just like in Ashley's case. I mean, that's crazy. He's following the same situation where a killer or killers was either let in or gained by some other means, but they didn't kick the door in.
There were no signs of the house being ransacked.
Detective Grant discovers a soda can, there's empty cups. Looks like there was something going on, like a casual encounter.
Make sure this stuff goes back to the crime lab.
We wanted to have those processed to see if we were able to get any fingerprints off.
So as Detective Grant works his crime scene, he finds groceries on the counter, prescription medications, and he finds empty pill bottles.
Right now, Detective Grant doesn't know exactly what happened, but he's got to consider all of this evidence that's there.
Where's the body?
In the back.
He was killed with a screwdriver.
He's on the ground in the spare bedroom. You see the screwdriver sticking up out of his neck. The screwdriver in the neck was alarming because that was the first time I had ever seen someone's life taken that way.
You know, most crime scenes have a certain tone or tenor. This is haphazard at best when you look at it.
I think this murder's pretty fresh.
The deputy coroner's opinion was that the victim was dead anywhere between 12 and 18 hours.
This must have happened right before Ashley's murder.
This homicide looks very personal. It's time for Detective Grant to speak with Esau's family. Detective Grant has to figure out, okay, who was in this victim's house? Why was he found in a spare bedroom with this screwdriver sticking out of his neck?
I'm his brother, Chenny.
I'm Wyatt.
Esau Royal's brother and brother-in-law found the body.
We just saw him a few days ago.
He came over to the residence with Mr. Royal's brother, and when they arrived, Mr. Royal was leaving his residence in his black Chrysler 300.
He said he'll be right back.
But most importantly, there was somebody in the passenger seat beside him.
We didn't get a good look at the guy. He looked young.
When Mr. Royal returns, he told him that that was Nelson Sr.'s son. They didn't know who that was because they had never seen him.
Nelson's a relative of ours.
His son is Nelson Jr.
Mr. Royal told him he would come over to cut his grass.
He spent the rest of the night catching up.
So they do what all families do. They hang out for a bit, they all leave, and then they try to call Esau back, but they can't get a hold of him.
We come tonight to check up on him.
That's when they find the door unlocked. They enter the house, and they find Esau dead.
And my brother's car is gone.
Mr. Royal's 2018 Chrysler 300 was missing.
It's a black four-door sedan.
Our experience is 9 times out of 10, the killer took the car.
I need an APB on my victim's car.
So the first line of business is Detective Grant has got to put a bolo out for that car immediately.
Is there anything else? What is it?
Kenny drops a bombshell. He's got one new detail.
It's probably nothing.
He goes on to say that Nelson Sr. is a family member, but they're not that tight of a family. So it sticks out, why is he taking this boy home?
Where does Nelson live?
Right around the corner.
So our next step is to try and find out who Nelson Jr. is.
Thank you.
Detective Grant goes to Nelson Sr.'s home and makes contact with his son, Nelson Jr.
When was the last time you saw Esau Royal?
I don't know, a while.
He says he hasn't seen Esau in 6, maybe 7 months.
This is throwing up all kinds of red flags.
So you haven't cut his grass recently?
No, I've never cut his grass.
Something's not right. Detective Grant's spidey senses have to be tingling.
No.
Never.
This kid has got to be lying.
Make sure this stuff goes back to the crime lab.
Richmond County Homicide Detective Lucas Grant is leading his second homicide investigation in less than 12 hours.
He was killed with a screwdriver.
Grant's second murder is the brutal murder of 73-year-old Esau Royal inside his own home.
Where does Nelson live?
Right around the corner.
According to Esau's family, he gave a ride home to another relative named Nelson Jr.
When was the last time you saw Esau Royal?
I don't know, a while.
I was like, this is a problem, because you have Wyatt Smith saying Royal took this kid home.
So you haven't cut his grass recently?
No, I've never cut his grass.
That's crazy because Grant's victim at this point has told his family this is the kid that cut his grass, and now Nelson Jr. says, I don't cut his grass.
No.
Never.
Okay. Walk me through your last 2 days.
Nelson Jr. goes on to tell Detective Grant he was at home playing video games. So Detective Grant, being the great detective he is, saying, is there anybody here that could back that up?
I just been at the crib with my dad.
So he offers up his dad, Nelson Sr.
He was here all day.
So when speaking to Nelson Sr., he described the same exact events about his son. None of this matches up to what we learned from Wyatt Smith.
My son's in the clear now, right?
We've had cases where fathers and mothers protect their sons and create alibis.
I think I'd like to finish this interview back at the station.
They voluntarily say, hey, we have no problem. We're going with you to be interviewed again. So they come with us.
At his office, Detective Grant heard the same story again. He wasn't sure what to think, but that's when a huge break came.
The crime scene technicians recovered a fingerprint from a can of soda in Mr. Royal's home. And when they ran the print, they got a hit.
I mean, this is crazy. In real time, Detective Grant gets a print back to a 31-year-old guy named Antonio Armour.
They looked up Antonio Armour's address on file, and it was the exact same address where Nelson Sr. and Jr. lived. The chances of that happening had to have been like 1 in a billion.
Detective Grant printed a photo of Antonio Armour, and he went back to Nelson Sr. to get some answers.
You recognize this guy?
Yes.
And he says, that's my stepson.
Stepson? stepson, huh?
Yeah. He said he'll be right back.
Esau told him he was taking Nelson's son home. Detective Grant's deceased victim was right on point. He was taking home the son of Nelson Sr. Except it wasn't just his son, it was his stepson. But it all makes sense.
He could pretty much cross off Nelson Sr. and Nelson Jr. as suspects.
Where can I find Antonio?
I don't know.
Although it's his stepson, he hasn't lived with them at the house for a long while, so he's in the wind. So now Detective Grant has to do his homework and find Antonio Armour.
It's after midnight. As the investigation enters day 2, Detective Grant turns his attention back to the Ashley Knowles homicide.
We have another video from the hotel for you.
Okay.
Although he's got this new suspect in the Esau Royal case, he still has to manage this other case at the hotel. So it literally is a juggling act that detectives have to do, and that's exactly what Detective Grant was doing.
Detective Grant takes the opportunity to scroll through the video, and when he does so, he sees a black vehicle actually entering the parking lot.
According to the timestamp, the car arrives around 3:30 a.m.
And then about 2 hours later, he sees on the video where the vehicle is leaving.
Hold on.
Detective Grant is looking at this video. He's like, damn, that looks like a Chrysler 300 black in color.
And my brother's car is gone.
And this is the same car reported by the family as being owned by Esau Royal. The odds of that are crazy.
This unknown black vehicle seen coming and going from the hotel matches up with the time frame that the black male that was seen on the other video going into the victim's room and leaving the victim's room. And the person seen leaving the victim's room remarkably looks just like Antonio Armour.
Oh my God.
He had dreads.
That's the same guy.
I was very shocked because I was thinking these were two totally different situations.
He's just hit the jackpot from the slot machine. He's pulled it. Stars, whistles, and bells are going off right now.
The gravity of this moment, sometimes it feels like a weight lifted off of your shoulders because you now know who this person is that committed both of these homicides.
I need to speak with Wayne Hill. Person on scene?
Yes, sir.
Detective Lucas Grant is investigating a once-in-a-lifetime case.
Possible strangulation.
In less than 24 hours, he went from investigating a homicide at a hotel
It was a cold-blooded murder.
to catching another murder at a residence.
Oh my God.
Suspect Antonio Armour is connected to one crime scene by fingerprints and another through surveillance video.
That's the same guy.
This is compelling evidence, but it's not enough. Lucas needs more.
I need to speak with Wayne Hill.
Detective Grant created a lineup with Antonio Armour's photo. He then headed to the jail and met with Wayne Hill. Wayne went from being a suspect to an eyewitness. He's the one person that actually saw the killer leave Ashley's hotel room.
When Wayne viewed the lineup, he picked out Armour without hesitation. Things were moving and shaking now. Detective Grant filed an arrest warrant for Antonio Armour. Within hours, the U.S. Marshals tracked him down and took him into custody without incident.
Approximately 31 hours after originally getting this case, Detective Grant sits down with Antonio Armour.
Now you have to get that person to talk to you about why they chose to do this to each one of these individuals.
You know why we're here? Somebody got hurt. Okay, how do you know that?
He says the news. And I say, well, what else did you learn on the news? She's dead.
This is the time to get it off your chest, Antonio.
And that's when he then opened up.
What is this high? I don't know, man.
Grant made short order of getting this brother to actually start spitting and giving it up.
She asked you to come over and you went over. Mm-hmm. How did you get over there? You walk, you drive, what?
I caught a ride.
He was lying through his teeth.
Detective Grant just lets Armour continue with his story.
So when you got over there, what happened?
He said that he had gave her some Percocet. And he said that they had consensual sex. He said after sex, he then went into the bathroom where he was gonna snort some cocaine.
When I came out there, I noticed some of my stuff was, my drugs was missing.
He began getting very, very angry.
I got pissed off because she took my drugs, and it made me so mad.
It's not uncommon for drug-addicted people to just lose their mind when someone steals their drugs.
He said he walked up to Mrs. Knowles. He continued getting angry. And that's when he put her in a headlock and began to choke her.
I just choked her.
He said we picked her up and placed her on the bed. Then he tried to look for the Percocet that he thought had been taken. And he couldn't find them.
Detective Grant now has to go back to the crime scene. This victim's purse was overturned, so now he knows. The Percocet was missing. That is what Antonio Armour was looking for.
Some guy kept on coming over. I guess he wanted to be next.
That's when Wayne Hill showed up.
I just did more drugs and I left.
One murder confession down, one to go.
Detective Grant asked Antonio Armour how he got home, and he says he caught a ride. I mean, clearly, he's trying to conceal the fact that he's been riding around in a dead man's car, that of Mr. Esau Royal. Detective Grant knows he's lying and needs him to confess to both murders.
I know how you got there, okay? I know you were in a black Chrysler 300.
He immediately took like a very deep, big sigh, put his head in his hands.
When you see someone go down like this in an interview, they just broke the tape at the finish line.
And I also know who that car belongs to. So you want to tell me about that?
It's about to be over. They're getting ready to give it up.
I got pissed off because she took my drugs.
In Augusta, Georgia, Detective Lucas Grant identifies suspect Antonio Armour in 2 different homicides.
So when you got mad, what happened?
I just choked her.
Over 30 hours into the investigation, Antonio Armour has confessed to the murder of Ashley Knowles.
I know you were in a black Chrysler 300.
Now Detective Grant tries to get him to come clean on the 2nd homicide.
And I also know who that car belongs to.
He knew there was no way of getting around it. I had already caught him in one lie about him being picked up and dropped off at the hotel. Once I confronted him on the first lie, he told the whole story after that.
I know it's hard, boss, but I need you to get it off your chest.
It's this guy just be going about pills from.
Armour says he went to Esau Royal's home on October 16th, and that was 2 days before they found his body.
He had been getting Percocet for a while. Every time he had gotten pills prior, he paid him.
He was giving me all the pills, but I never intended to buy him what I was going to take.
He had murder on his mind. He was getting them for the free, and it was going to end the life of Mr. Royal.
Where were y'all at in his house when this happened?
In the kitchen.
He had separated the pills, and Esau's back was to him.
me how you hurt.
Choking.
He choked him till he wasn't moving. That's the same manner of death as Ashley knows.
How did he end up where he was?
And he said he got him over into the spare bedroom. He went and retrieved the pills, but he also saw the screwdriver. That's when he took the screwdriver, went back into the room, and stabbed Mr. Royal in the neck.
The behavior of Antonio Armour is, I mean, I'm no doctor, but this is sociopathic.
After that, what did you do?
Took the car.
Then it gets even more bizarre. He takes his car, he uses it to make some kind of connection with a female, brings her back to this crime scene, watches TV and exchanges pleasantries with her with a dead man in the back.
Basically, they hung out, and while hanging out, gets a Coca-Cola, he drinks it.
Make sure this stuff goes back to the crime lab.
Thank God Antonio Armour had that soda. That was the crux of the matter in bringing this case to closure.
He then takes this young lady to another unknown location, drops her off before going to meet with Mrs. Knowles at the hotel.
Now we start back at the beginning.
From the first investigation we worked all the way to the last investigation, only to find out that we worked them backwards.
It's time to go to jail.
The motive in both cases all resulted in one thing, and that was this young man's addiction to Percocet.
Based on all the evidence, the video surveillance, the fingerprint, the fact that Antonio Armour actually gave a confession, he's charged with 2 counts of murder and theft by taking for stealing the car. Before trial, Antonio Armour pleads guilty to 2 counts of malice murder and theft.
He's sentenced to life without parole for both murders and 10 years for the theft. I gotta tell you, man, I'm just very proud of the work you did on this case, and the citizens of where you policed are better today for having you in part of their community.
Such a horrible death.
You know, I look at this case, the way he took a case that could take months.
Who found the body?
And he did that in the space of less than a day and a half without even getting 1 ounce of shut-eye.
That's the same guy.
It's a testament to his credo.
I know it's hard, boss, but I need you to get it off your chest.
He has his own way of doing things, and it paid off for his community.
Tell me how you hurt.
I'm choking.
I got nothing but claps for the brother.
It's time to go to jail.
He checked off all the boxes, and now, like a true winner, he's on to the next challenge.
So in 2020, my family went through a traumatic incident where my father was murdered, and his case still is open today.
Lieutenant Grant lost his father, Frank, in 2020.
Value life, because you never know when it will end.
Now the memory of a loving bond serves as a driving force in his career.
After my father's homicide, it ignited my fire. But I knew it was time for me to now take my talents back home, and that being Aiken County over in South Carolina, where I wanted to now become the sheriff of that agency.
Aiken County, South Carolina is about to get the cream, because I know you're going to rise to the top, brother.
Mississippi single mom Olivia Walker thinks she finally has her life balanced out. Until she meets a man who's quick to write a check she's all too willing to cash.
He's very confident, very sure of himself.
And when she invests more than just her heart, her new man quickly goes for broke.
She wanted to make Kenyatta happy, but things just went completely wrong.
Olivia went out on a limb. Her children, everything. She jeopardized that, all for this man.
And later, halfway across the globe in Bali, Indonesia, Heather Mack has been handed the world on a platter.
She had the silver spoon in her mouth and received any and everything as an only child.
But Heather wants more than love and attention. She wants it all.
Heather would not stop till she got access to her mother's money.
And it's kind of like, I'm gonna do it for my man. I'm gonna make our life right for him.
Growing up in a stable home in the small town of Ridgeland, Mississippi, Olivia Walker's planned every step of her life.
Olivia's parents were very clear with her. The keys to success were good life, good job, good friends, good family, good man.
Olivia's parents were solidly middle-class people who worked really hard with regard to doing everything the right way. She really wanted to make her parents proud.
Following a series of odd jobs after high school, Olivia's on the road to happiness when at 21, she meets the man she's certain will make her dreams come true.
She got married. She had 3 children, and things seemed to be on the normal, average path.
Unfortunately, there are some bumps along the way. Olivia has married too young, and when things don't work out, the 30-year-old finds herself divorced and raising her beloved kids all alone.
The studies show that the younger they are, the more the relationships don't work out. But in another way, her parents had ingrained in her that marriage was part of that formula of success.
Olivia has yet to find her knight in shining armor, so instead, the former stay-at-home mom focuses on finding a career rather than true love. In no time, the young professional lands a job as a part-time teller at a credit union in her hometown.
She was dependable and dedicated at her job. Her bosses loved her. Her clients loved her. People knew her. She was one of the people in the neighborhood that you could count on.
Before long, Olivia's friendly, can-do attitude skyrockets her from part-time teller to full-time bookkeeper, and on the fast track to management.
When Olivia got her new duties, that involved, number one, she had the combination or the access to the vault. She also balanced the books, and she would be in charge of ordering hundreds upon thousands of dollars when the bank needed cash.
Olivia had an incredible work ethic and in many ways took the straight path right to the top. She was extremely bright, and more than anything else, she was really trustworthy.
With so much on her plate, Olivia doesn't have much time for fun and games. But working at a bank affords her the opportunity to meet all kinds of people. And she's instantly smitten when 29-year-old Kenyatta McGee, a dapper young man 2 years her junior, comes in to cash a check.
He worked at a pharmacy. He's manly looking. He was broad of shoulder and square of chin. He was sexual chocolate. And there was definitely a connection between these two.
I'm gonna write my phone number down for you.
The pair strike up some chit-chat, and it turns out a fluttering heart isn't the only thing they share.
Yes, you will.
For one, they both had children. For two, they were both married and perhaps were not very happy in their marriages, especially with Kenyatta, who was involved in a divorce, and things were really sucking him dry, not just financially, but emotionally too.
After just a few weeks of getting to know each other, the two become an item.
For the first time in a long time, Olivia's life seemed to be in good balance. She worked her way up to a management position. She had this man in her life, and life was good for Olivia.
But as quickly as things heat up, they take a chilling turn when Olivia finds out Kenyatta's got much darker plans in mind for their future.
There was no length to which Olivia would not go to make sure that she kept her man.
Love will make you do crazy things.
In Ridgeland, Mississippi, 31-year-old Olivia Walker has finally found the man of her dreams in Kenyatta McGee.
Olivia and Kenyatta had a lot in common. He charmed his way right into her heart. She didn't know, though, that Kenyatta had a dark side.
Kenyatta had a criminal history. He had a criminal record. He had served time for a felony as well as some minor drug charges. Had Olivia known about Kenyatta's priors, she wouldn't have given him the time of day.
But love can be blind. And in just 3 months of dating, Olivia has only seen the innocent side of Kenyatta.
Olivia would have done almost anything to keep her man happy.
And when he shares with Olivia a secret about his bank account, her loyalty is put to the ultimate test.
Really broke right now. I'm down and out.
Kenyatta confides to Olivia that his upcoming divorce is just bleeding him dry. And he's really struggling financially because of it. Olivia is sympathetic, and she feels that this is something that she can really empathize with him about.
We can both start new lives.
But her wheels really start spinning when Kenyatta hints at the unthinkable, claiming a quick payday would give them a clean slate.
I got something to say.
Kenyatta then suggests that, well, perhaps Olivia should get money from the bank that Olivia works at.
That we can rob this bank, and nobody would know.
He made it sound like this would be a victimless crime. Nobody would be injured.
It's gonna be okay. I got the plan.
Although they've only been dating a few months, dollar signs form in Olivia's big brown eyes. And even though she has more at stake than Kenyatta, love prevails as she signs off on his sordid scenario.
She had 3 children to consider. She had her reputation in the community to consider. Olivia's not interested in turning to a life of crime, but Olivia is interested in Kenyatta. And Kenyatta's got her on the hook.
It's not unusual for someone to commit a horrible crime, even though they don't have a criminal history or a criminal past, and they'll do it out of love.
On a steamy September afternoon, Olivia gives Kenyatta the code to the bank's back door, and he calls his cousin, who agrees to act as a getaway driver. With the arrangements made, they put their plan into place.
On this particular Tuesday, Olivia was scheduled to close with an employee that she herself had trained.
Around 6 o'clock, the women count their drawers and exchange friendly conversation. Meanwhile, Olivia slyly heads to the drive-thru window to cue Kenyatta, who's hiding outside.
The signal for Kenyatta to come in was when Olivia opened the blinds. So once she opened the blinds, at that point, Kenyatta exited the vehicle and went and used the code and entered the bank.
The women make their way to the vault to balance the nightly books. That's when a masked Kenyatta sees his opportunity to strike as Olivia gets herself ready to take center stage.
Give me the code! He surprised them and forced them to the ground. Olivia became hysterical and started screaming and screaming, and the robber at that point put duct tape over Olivia's mouth to keep her quiet. Stacy was definitely afraid for her life.
Kenyatta pulls some handcuffs from his toolbox and hog-ties Stacy. As they rehearsed earlier, he then turns his attention to Olivia.
Olivia is handcuffed in a similar fashion. However, he left one of her hands free so she can manipulate the vault doors.
With the women secured, he pulls out a can of spray paint and blinds each security camera with a coat of lacquer.
They planned this out to the most intricate details. You can almost say that they were obsessive compulsive in the way they just put every single thing together.
Give me the code right now.
After some aggressive play acting, Olivia gives up the digits to the vault. Once inside, Kenyatta marvels at the stacks of cash piled high above his head.
The denominations were 20s, 10s, 5s, and 100s. He had brought along with him in his box of tools large garbage bags, the kind that people would use to put leaves in if they were raking their yard. And he filled those bags with those bills.
He then hurries through the same door in which he entered, where his getaway driver has been waiting.
After Kenyatta left the bank, Olivia had to continue with the act. She had to continue screaming, she had to continue crying, she had to continue to look like a victim. She also knew she had to give Kenyatta enough time to get out of the city. So she took her time composing herself before she dialed 911.
Ma'am, calm down. I can't understand you like that.
Minutes later, police arrive on the scene and quickly untie the women, hoping to find out exactly what happened. They start by speaking with Stacy, who's got a surprising attitude given what just went down.
When Stacy was interviewed, of course, she was scared, she was rattled, but she had a calm demeanor about her and was able to give a nice statement.
Olivia, on the other hand, is a basket case.
Even though this was a traumatic experience, I believe Olivia's reaction to it was a little bit exaggerated. It was just completely unnatural. At that point, we decided that it wouldn't be a good idea to try to talk to her that night, that we need to talk to her on a separate day.
Officers tell Olivia to go home and get some rest. But instead, she immediately makes her way to Kenyatta's place, just outside the city limits, where her man is waiting anxiously with their haul.
What?
There was more money in these bags than either of them had ever seen and would ever see again. And that had to be an amazing rush for them both.
Given her effortless leap from everyday bank teller to bank robber, there's no limit to what Olivia might be capable of with Kenyatta by her side.
Kenyatta instilled this in her mind that if we do this, we'll live, to be cliche, happily ever after.
After this heist, there was no telling what Olivia would be willing to do next.
And later, in Bali, Indonesia, Heather Mack will also learn that listening to a smooth talker with a forked tongue can ruin even the most idyllic lives.
She was bludgeoned to death. It was really a gory sight.
It's kind of like, I'm gonna do it for my man, you know? I'm gonna make our life right for him.
Following a brazen $1.3 million bank heist in Ridgeland, Mississippi, Olivia Walker and her boyfriend Kenyatta McGee think they're in the clear.
When Olivia and Kenyatta are counting all this money, they were probably on cloud nine.
Back at the crime scene, police have a feeling it's an inside job.
It's either an employee or a former employee has some involvement, especially when they have a code to enter the building.
And when detectives unearth some evidence that points to Olivia just a few hours after the robbery, it puts them hot on her trail.
As we were going through the evidence, analyzing the evidence, one thing stood out about the handcuffs that were used to secure Olivia and Stacy. The release was a lever as opposed to a keyhole. So we knew at that point that they weren't real, that they were some form of novelty handcuffs. We began to wonder, where could these be sold?
A quick online search leads detectives to a local party supply store where they discover a stock of the same imitation handcuffs. As they comb through the shop's surveillance video, they find something that confirms their suspicions.
We observed a female that resembled Olivia. She was with 3 small children and an unidentified male wearing a white t-shirt and dark colored pants. Our next move was to confront her with the evidence.
Okay. 24 hours after the heist, Olivia arrives at the police station to give her statement.
We didn't play all of our hand at once. We eased her into it. Once she admitted that she did go shopping, we then hit her with the video.
I think it's strange that you end up with some handcuffs on you and you purchase some handcuffs.
And at that point, Olivia began to break down a little bit. She began to cry. She began to become uncooperative.
She had played the role of innocent victim and had the crocodile tears. At the end of the line, she, in fact, was just as manipulative in committing this crime as Kenyatta was. She knew the jig was up.
Even though Olivia refuses to come clean, police have enough to formally charge her.
You want to place me under arrest?
Listen.
Why?
We have more than a proper cause to believe that you're involved in this particular robbery.
Oh wow. Oh, wow.
In the face of jail time, Olivia will only give up her accomplice's name, but no information on his whereabouts.
His name is Ken.
Ken what?
Ken McGee.
The former teller has no intention of leading police right to her man's doorstep. Her love runs too deep. And if she can't be happy, at least he might have a shot.
He asked her to do this thing, and she was going to see it through because he was her man, and she was going to stand by him and do her best so that he didn't have to suffer for the fact that the heist went wrong.
Olivia was protecting Kenyatta by not coming clean, saving herself, maybe doing less jail time. Again, as we see so many times, doing it in the name of love.
Fortunately, when police do some digging with Olivia's friends and family, they learn all they need to know about Kenyatta and his relationship with Olivia. And when they pull his old mugshot, it's game over.
We compared that mugshot to the image on the video and knew that we had a match.
After searching all the addresses linked to Kenyatta, they track him down just 6 days after the robbery. He's nabbed nearly 400 miles away in Gainesville, Georgia, at his ex-wife's house, the very wife he was complaining to Olivia about.
He had all the cash with him, except $100,000. There was no indication that his wife knew what was going on. The evidence seems to show that he showed up there with the bags and the money. In fact, she made him sleep on the couch. That's how they found him.
I found it very ironic that we would find Kenyatta in Georgia with his ex-wife because Kenyatta had promised Olivia that they were going to make a life together with the money that they had secured from the bank robbery. Olivia was going to be his princess, and he was going to be her prince.
Even though he refuses to come clean, Kenyatta is arrested and charged with robbery, conspiracy to commit robbery, and kidnapping. And when they go back to Olivia and mention where her so-called boyfriend was found, she flips.
I am telling the guy the truth. I didn't know what he was going to do. I promise I did not know.
This was the ultimate betrayal. She gave up her life, her children, for this guy who was nothing more than a double-crosser.
When Olivia heard where Kenyatta had been, there are canaries who wish they could have sang as prettily. That's when she decided that she was going to tell everything she knew and explain that Kenyatta was just as willing a participant in this whole heist. It wasn't all her after all. Her man had done her wrong.
With a mountain of evidence against him, Kenyatta pleads guilty to robbery, conspiracy, and kidnapping. He's sentenced to 50 years in prison, with the final 15 years suspended. Olivia also pleads guilty to robbery and conspiracy and is given 15 years behind bars. During her stint in prison, Olivia has shown remorse for her actions. And those who know her best realize this isn't the real Olivia.
Olivia probably learned the harshest lesson of love there is. Just because you love someone does not mean they'll love you.
It's clear that Olivia's involved with a man who is manipulating her. And Olivia, based on her criminal history, wouldn't have done this but for her man.
Get on the ground.
She wasn't remorseful the night that she watched Stacy get hogtied and shoved around. She wasn't remorseful at the time she came into the station and continued to lie to the detective.
I am telling the guy the truth. I didn't know what he was going to do. I promise I did not know what he was.
I think she's remorseful now, though.
Olivia Walker's dreams of making a quick buck with her man forced her down a dark path from which there's no return. Overseas, in Bali, Indonesia, Heather Mack also proves that love and greed make for a deadly combination. Born in the lap of luxury, Heather Mack has it all in the heart of Illinois.
Heather and her family were from Oak Park, which is a pretty prominent and sleepy suburb here outside of Chicago.
As a child, she always had a solid relationship with her mother, Sheila, but it's her daddy, James, who makes her heart sing.
Heather's father was a well-known jazz composer, and he had made a good bit of money just from his compositions and from his musical career.
She adored him. He was everything to her. Her entire life revolved around him.
He'd be at the piano, and he'd have his little girl right next to him seated on the piano, trying to show her what he was doing.
With enough wealth and connections to last a lifetime, Heather's future is full of possibilities. But it all comes to a screeching halt on an otherwise picture-perfect August Sunday when she's just 11.
James died while they were in Athens, Greece. He was walking through a hotel and suffered from a heart attack and just died instantly.
In just 5th grade, Heather isn't emotionally ready to handle life without the one person she loved most in this world.
With Heather being Daddy's girl, that was extremely traumatic for her.
When a young child loses a parent, first of all, they're alone, they're scared, it's hard for them to trust other people, and therefore their maturation becomes completely skewed.
Fortunately, he left behind a large estate for his family to get by.
When James Mack died, he left his daughter a great inheritance. She had a trust fund worth $1.5 million.
The money becomes rightfully Heather's when she turns 30 and will leave her set for life. But until then, moving on without James is harder than either she or her mother could have imagined.
Heather's relationship with her mother following the death of her father immediately started to unravel, started to deteriorate.
And the final straw comes when Mom decides to trash some of James's things, including his original sheet music.
She was so busy. I mean, the house was enormous and it had tons of stuff. So she just said, I'm going to throw it away.
It kind of gave this image to Heather that, okay, he's not here anymore, just, get rid of him. It's disposable. Your father is disposable.
Oh, come on, throw it away.
This was the ultimate slap in the face, because not only was she tossing out his possessions, she was tossing out the most important memories that Heather had about her father, and this caused Heather to really act out.
There were conflicts about whether Heather was attending school, whether she was taking school seriously, and that Heather wasn't taking instructions from her mother.
Are you serious? Yeah.
But the real damage from James's untimely passing won't be felt for many years to come, when Heather puts a new man at the center of her world.
Heather was always trying to irritate Sheila, always. Association with this guy raised the ante.
You need to have some more respect, young lady.
She's doing it for her man. It's all in the name of standing by your boyfriend.
In the wake of her father's death, Oak Park, Illinois youngster Heather Mack is forced to enter adulthood without her best friend and role model.
He was her everything. It was like her teddy bear and, her protector and the person that she could relate to.
As a single mom, Sheila does her best to keep Heather grounded. But as she approaches Sweet 16, the more Sheila tries to reel her daughter in, the more Heather lashes out.
She began in the beginning just to stay out a little bit later than she should have. Then she began taking the family car, leaving Sheila not knowing where her daughter was with the car.
From there, Heather's self-serving attitude only escalates. The sophomore decides to drop out of school and embrace her inner wild child.
Heather was looking for fun, looking to use drugs, looking to have sex. She was hanging around with a bad crowd.
And before long, Heather brings her nasty side home.
There was just a lot of chaos within that household. The police were called there 86 times in order to resolve disputes or take police reports because she was missing or deal with some type of conflict.
Sheila called me up at one point, and she was on the verge of tears and told me that my daughter's just going crazy. She's hitting me. She told me Heather broke her arm, pushed her down the stairs.
As Heather's relationship with Sheila declines, she searches for the one thing missing in her world, love. And she finds it at the center of her clique in unemployed 21-year-old Tommy Schaefer. The second she lays eyes on Mr. Tall and Handsome, her life changes forever.
And it seems like these hearts and Cupid are like flying all around, and it's like this kind of love at first sight. Tommy was physically in shape, really nice on the eyes, and kind of your stud.
Heather is so head over heels she doesn't care that Tommy's currently on probation for his dark past.
Tommy was convicted on an assault charge. And this wasn't some slap on the wrist. This was something that was followed through with court supervision.
To make matters worse, Sheila couldn't be less impressed by her daughter's taste in men.
What is he doing here?
Sheila had an instant dislike for Tommy. I think it was her instincts telling her that this guy was using Heather. If Heather didn't have the money she had,
Did you just show up?
Tommy would not have had any interest in her.
Seriously, we are going to talk about this later, young lady. You have not heard the end of it.
After just a few short months of dating, the new couple are madly in love. But the real trouble is born when Heather starts shopping for onesies.
Heather finds out that she's pregnant. And looking at it from Sheila's perspective, it's kind of like there's no getting rid of this situation. There's no outgrowing this. Once you have a baby with an individual, they're in your life forever.
When Heather's mother found out that Heather was pregnant, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and the tension at that point was just off the Richter scale.
During the first 2 months of her pregnancy, Heather's relationship with Sheila continues to suffer, and she and Tommy are attached at the hip. So Sheila makes a last-ditch effort at winning back her daughter's heart by scheduling a 10-day vacation to Bali, Indonesia.
She called me, she said, I'm really hoping that this is an opportunity for me and Heather to be alone, away from any influence of anybody, where we can have a heart-to-heart and have a good time in the process.
On a picturesque August morning, Sheila and Heather land in Bali and make their way to the swankiest hotel on the island.
It has a very luxurious lobby. The rooms are enormous. The facilities are extensive, beautiful swimming pools, exotic plants, a great concierge to take you on all kinds of excursions in Bali. It was paradise.
But it doesn't take long for the sweet getaway to turn sour.
They were in the hotel, and Sheila was in the room, getting up. Heather said she'll be right back, and she left and disappeared.
Heather, you here?
Fearing Heather ran off looking for trouble in a foreign land, Sheila searches the hotel grounds high and low. Just then, she spots her missing daughter, and she's not alone.
Sheila's walking in. Lo and behold, she sees Tommy.
There you are. You know, I have been looking for you for hours.
Sheila almost lost her mind when she saw Heather with her boyfriend, Tommy. And at this point, she knew that there was some real trouble that she was going to have to deal with.
Your ticket? You've got to be kidding me.
Sheila doesn't hesitate to get right in Tommy's face, ordering him to explain himself.
He bought a ticket. I bet he bought a ticket.
She asked Tommy, what the hell are you doing here? Who paid for your airfare to get here? Who's paying for your hotel? Are you checked in here? Oh, yeah, I'm checked in.
He bought a ticket. Yes. I bet he bought.
Heather jumps in and swears Tommy paid his own way.
Money. With his money.
But when Sheila calls her credit card company, the truth comes out.
$12,000?
The flight alone to get Tommy to Bali was $12,000, and Heather charged that to her mother's credit card without her mother knowing about it.
They had a knockdown, drag-out battle that unnerved the entire hotel staff.
Eventually, Heather convinces Sheila to return to their room, promising she'll send Tommy home on the next flight if they can talk it out in private.
Oh my God, I can't stand you every single time we go out.
It calmed down a little, except that Heather and Tommy are texting back and forth and discussing ways that they could possibly hurt Sheila.
And the following morning, Sheila finds out that Tommy didn't fly all this way simply to enjoy the fun and sun. He's here to support the love of his life, and she's standing in their way.
She was a threat. She was a problem in the entire equation.
Heather and Tommy thought it was just going to be a very easy solution for their issues to just go ahead and kill Heather's mother. But as we see with young people, they didn't really think this through.
Heather and Tommy came up with a plan really quickly, and it wasn't fully thought out, but it was gonna get her completely out of the picture. And so they decided to use whatever they could, and Tommy grabs this fruit bowl out of his room and heads over to Sheila's room.
In a hotel room in Bali, Indonesia, Heather Mack and her boyfriend, Tommy Schaefer, set a plan in motion to take Heather's mom, Sheila, out of the picture once and for all.
Heather says, I'm gonna do it for my man. I'm going to make our life right for him.
While Sheila takes in the ocean air from the veranda, Heather carefully opens the door as Tommy slinks inside, where he lies in wait.
Tommy is in the bathroom, and Sheila is still on the balcony. Heather and Tommy are texting back and forth on their phones about what they're gonna do.
As Sheila comes in off the balcony, Heather sends the fatal order.
Heather sends a text now, and he comes out with this metal bowl and hits her over the head.
Tommy bludgeons Sheila with a fruit vase, a big fruit vase that he used to strike her head.
Sheila tries to defend herself, but she's no match for the much larger man.
Tommy continues to smash and smash and smash her stomach.
There's blood everywhere. It was just horrible.
A pregnant Heather watches with an icy stare as Tommy finishes the job.
This shows that Heather did not care about her mother. That anger and frustration that she carried all the way from 11 years old still remained and got mixed up and morphed and turned into something very cynical and twisted.
The frenzied attack is over in a matter of seconds. All that remains is Sheila's lifeless body.
Her bloodied mother's body, whose skull was bashed in, whose fingers were broken. It was too horrible for viewing.
They were cold and calculated in their actions. And for Heather, certainly she had built up such resentment, anger, and hate towards her mother that it was easy to act by instinct.
Eager to cover their heinous crime, Heather and Tommy weigh their options and decide to stuff Sheila inside one of their large, hard-shell suitcases.
The body was too big, so Tommy had to press down on the top of the suitcase, almost like a stack of T-shirts, in order to press her body and zip her body up into this suitcase.
What was really sickening about it, it was the indignity of not only being murdered, but being stuffed into a suitcase as if you were dirty laundry. I mean, it was awful.
Now that Sheila is gone, Heather and Tommy are free to be together forever. With the unholy package ready for delivery, they call the front desk and prepare to check out.
They bring it out to the front entrance and hail a taxi cab. Tell the cab driver to open up the trunk. They lift the suitcase into the trunk and close the trunk. They tell the cab driver, we'll be right back.
Instead, they slip into a different cab, headed for another part of town.
The two go to another hotel just a few miles away that they had checked into using their real names and using Sheila's credit card.
Nearly 2 hours pass as the taxi driver waits patiently for the couple to return, but they never come back.
When they don't return, he talks to the hotel officials. They decide to unload the suitcases. That's when they start seeing blood leaking from one of the suitcases.
Without hesitation, the hotel manager notifies authorities, who rush to the scene. And as they carefully unzip the luggage, they're disturbed to see Sheila's remains spill out on the driveway.
Even if you're a veteran police officer, it's still pretty shocking to see this bashed-in body, this blood everywhere. It was just horrible.
I think that hotel staff found out pretty quickly who the victim was, that it was Sheila, and checked the victim's room. And at the time, Heather and Tommy were pretty much nowhere to be found.
By all outward appearances, the murderous lovebirds think they've pulled off the perfect crime.
Their plan was to leave Bali the minute they could.
Will police nab the couple before they disappear for good?
It's kind of like this young Bonnie and Clyde.
They didn't care about what happened because now they could finally be together.
Heather Mack and her boyfriend Tommy are on the run and hiding out in a local hotel as investigators discover Sheila Mack's mangled body.
Heather and Tommy must have had some sort of nervousness knowing the gravity of what they did. They probably self-medicated by just concentrating on their love.
Across town, police are putting the sordid puzzle pieces together.
Everybody knew who they were. It's just a matter of where did they go and are they still here?
I have been looking for you for hours!
They had saw Tommy, Heather, and Sheila arguing.
I bet he bought a ticket.
In addition, Heather and Tommy had hailed a cab that picked up the body.
News of the death of an American in Indonesia spreads across international and local media like wildfire. And just 24 hours after the news hits, police get the break they've been hoping for at the hotel where Heather and Tommy are holed up.
Owner of the hotel discovers that the two people who just checked in are the two people the police are looking for. He calls the authorities and tells them, I think your two people that you're looking for are in my hotel.
They were very immature, and they were deluding themselves into thinking that all of this was being done for love, when in fact it was being done for convenience.
Authorities head to the hotel, and the manager lets them into the room where the fugitives are hiding out.
Get up! And the police barge into the room and see Tommy and Heather in each other's arms. And they're both arrested under suspicion of murder.
The pair is immediately booked into separate prisons in Indonesia until further evidence emerges. Just days later, police get all the proof they need when they discover the text exchange between Heather and Tommy spells out premeditated murder.
They used smiley faces, they used emojis back and forth. So it was as if they were having a regular conversation and not plotting the demise of another human being. In one text message, Heather reveals that she can't wait for her mother to die.
Heather and Tommy both plead not guilty. A judge suspends their trials for 2 months until Heather has her baby. That spring, Heather gives birth to a baby girl who she names Stella.
And Stella has become a point of controversy because Indonesian law allows for the mother of an incarcerated individual to raise her baby for 2 years in her cell.
The child, after the 2 years, has to be placed in the care of a family member if they're able to take on the care for the child. If not, the child ends up in the foster care system.
U.S. authorities have no jurisdiction over Balinese law, so the pair stands trial separately in Bali, 9 months after Sheila's murder. Tommy is found guilty of first-degree murder, and Heather of assisting in first-degree murder. Showing mercy, a judge sentences Tommy to only 18 years in jail and gives Heather just 10.
The prosecutor recommended a relatively lenient sentence for Tommy because he's been polite. And Heather got a very light sentence because they viewed her as having been remorseful, which is completely contrary to the facts.
Heather's life started in this beautiful, peaceful suburb where she was raised under pretty higher middle-class standards. Now her life has ended in a prison in Bali.
Despite her skillful acting job in court, Heather has never offered an apology for her actions.
I knew Sheila for 32 years.
Melvin was a peaceful person, and he always looked out for his family members. Melvin just felt he's supposed to see after his cousins.
There was a high-pitched scream that curdled your blood. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Anyone that feels they've been wronged, they want it to be made right. And sometimes revenge is the path they choose.
It's a cycle of going back and forth until someone either dies or someone gives up.
His act was an act of revenge. What she did was an act of justice.
She got the case solved after 30 years.
December 28, 1983. It's a little after 4 a.m. when a family in Detroit, Michigan wakes up to banging on their front door. It's their neighbor's teenage daughters, Melissa and Yvonne Kuntz.
I remember Melissa coming in the house, screaming and crying. She was hysterical. And my mother was trying to calm her down to get the story out, and she just was saying, call the police.
They allowed her to use the phone where she called 911 and informed them that an attack was going on in her home.
13-year-old Melissa explains that she was awakened by strange sounds coming from the bedroom of her cousin, Melvin Weathers.
She said she heard a thump, like somebody was falling out of a bed, and it immediately woke her up.
She heard muffled screams coming from Melvin's room. She heard noises as though objects were being tossed around. The telephone line seemed to be dead. Her mother told Melissa and Yvonne to hit the floor. They knew that that meant to get ready and get out of there. She wanted them to go next door and see if they could get help.
Melissa was scared and traumatized.
911 advised her to remain where she was because it would be very dangerous for her to go back into the house. 911 requested the police and medical assistance.
When authorities arrive, they have no idea what has happened to Melvin or what awaits them inside.
My cousin Melvin was born in Georgetown, South Carolina. Andrew Weathers was his legal name, but we always known him as Melvin.
He was an active, happy little kid. He was fun. He made us laugh all the time. And he was just a cheery guy.
Melvin had a large family in South Carolina. He had his mother, his father, and in addition, 3 brothers, 3 sisters.
Melvin also had extended family in Detroit, Michigan. He visited them so often growing up, it became like a second home.
It was very racist.
He played chess with my cousin. They would sit on the porch and play chess while us girls would run around and ride our bikes and skate and stuff like that.
After his mother's death in 1981, Melvin left South Carolina permanently, moving in with his cousin Louise Kuntz and her kids in Detroit. He took a job working in his Uncle Henry's auto repair shop.
He was a mechanic's assistant, rotating the tires, changing the oil, things like that he knew how to do. So I would say that he was moving in the direction that he wanted to as far as his career goes.
His hopes was to one day be able to secure a position in one of the big 3. Chrysler, Ford, General Motors was booming back at that time, and that was aspiration of a lot of people.
I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit.
Louise was happy to have him live with them.
Louise and herself was a very nice lady. Worked hard every day.
I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do, so
at the house.
Every word I
Melvin
move,
was
so
a very
descriptive like an
selfless
adjective.
person.
I got a vendetta
That was
against people who
oriented
patented
as well.
being negative when you.
So I think he and my mom complemented each other in that aspect.
Louise, unfortunately, had experience with less kind-hearted men. So it was nice to have a positive male figure in her daughters' lives.
My mother appreciated the fact that Melvin was able and available to watch after us while she worked the various shifts in Michigan Bell. She knew she had the comfort of somebody that she trusted, somebody that was family and had our best interest at heart.
Over the next 2 years, Melvin became an integral part of the family.
He was surrounded by people who enjoyed him, who were happy for him to be there. He had gotten a job doing something that he loved to do and had hopes of moving even further, working on cars and working in the auto industry. So he had a promising future.
But now his family and his future are both in danger. Within minutes of Melissa's 911 call, police arrive on the scene. Louise and her daughters are waiting for them outside with the neighbors.
It was just chaotic at the time. Lisa knew that Melvin was hurt some kind of way. She was wanting to know, was her dog okay? It was just unreal for me as a child. I didn't know what to do. I just froze. And I couldn't console her being a kid, but I was just to let her know that someone was there with her.
They saw Louise in front, and she described to them how her cousin had been attacked and was still upstairs. And then they entered the home. The responders noticed that the power was out in the home. There were no lights, and the whole thing was dark.
Despite the risk, Louise and Melissa follow the officers back upstairs to check on Melvin.
So they would have had flashlights looking around. They would have been making sure that the perpetrator was not there.
I remember sneaking back into the house as I was creeping up the stairs, and they kind of shined the light. I so happened to look to my left. And there I saw the glacial stare of my cousin. My mom saw Melvin, and she just lost it. And there was a high-pitched scream that curdled your blood. It just didn't seem real. It was an out-of-body experience that I felt that I was going through. That this was a horrible nightmare. Oh my God, what is going on?
Melissa Kuntz and her mother Louise have followed police into their pitch-black home, where they find 28-year-old Melvin Weathers stabbed.
His eyes was open and he's looking back at me, and he's dead.
Melvin was obviously dead with a knife sticking out of his chest.
They believe the killer is long gone. Thankfully, Louise and her daughters were not harmed. But the family dog is missing.
The puppy's name was Snow. He was a white dog. So the police officers, they immediately start looking around.
They need to get the power back on.
And the police asked my mom, where's the fuse box? And she told them that it was in the basement. I was holding on to the back of my mom's shirt for dear life as we was trying to maneuver through the house to go to the basement so that they could turn on the lights. The police officer noticed that the fuse box was tampered with, and the lights came on.
There in the basement, investigators discover how the killer entered the home.
We hear this rustling sound. We all look to see which direction the sound was coming from. That's when they noticed that the window was cut out. It was like, I remember the officer said, that's how he got in.
But where is the dog?
The police officers looked in the washing machine as well as the dryer. So then they finally discovered the freezer on the other side of the basement.
When officers open the freezer,
my reaction to seeing the dog
being pulled from the deep freezer, I was happy that he was alive.
They believe the intruder put the dog there to prevent it from barking and waking up the family. Upstairs, investigators find other bizarre evidence that shows the killer had planned carefully.
They find a pair of loafers that had sponges attached to the bottom, assumingly so that family couldn't hear noise as the perpetrator walked through the house. They were thinking that this could have been a home invasion or robbery that went wrong until they were able to look more closely at the evidence.
None of the drawers were pulled out as you would find in a standard robbery. There were no signs of anyone going through the drawers or closets and ransacking the place.
They also found a set of knives on the steps in the house.
Detectives also determined that the knives on the stairway were sourced from the kitchen right there.
In addition to the fatal knife wound in Melvin's heart, he'd been stabbed several times in the face and neck.
They also saw a pillow that was filled with blood, which led police to believe that pillow was used to place over his face, try to smother him, possibly while he was being stabbed.
The intensity of stabbing a person in the chest, and also the idea that the power was off and that the phone line had been cut. It was more personal. It was a personal attack.
Given all the evidence that the police found that night, they pretty much assumed that they were working with a very calculated, dangerous individual who had premeditated to come into the house and kill the whole family.
To find out why, detectives ask Louise and her daughters to walk them through what happened that night.
On the day of the murder, we were in the bed asleep. I slept in a room with my mother. My sister had her own room. Melvin had his own room, and his door was closed. I heard Melvin call out my mother's name and could hear a struggle that was going on at the same time, and we all jumped up.
Louise tried to turn the lights on in the bedroom, and she immediately noticed that the lights would not come on. For a single mother of two, and the children waking up hearing muffled screams, that would be extremely terrifying.
I was afraid for my life at that moment, and I know I needed to get help. That's when me and my sister tried to go call the police. I recall my mother telling us, tell the police that someone died and they'll come quicker. So as we were saying this, we trying to get out the stairs. So you get down the first flight, and then it's a little corner, and you go down the second part. Right there, when we get to the second part of the stairs to go out the door, I see the shadow that's in front of me, and I could smell this stench.
Melissa says she instantly recognized the shadowy figure because she only knew one person who smelled like that: her mother's ex-boyfriend, Bosco Lyles.
Bosco had this combination of his body odor and the cigarettes that he smoked. So I was able to say for sure that that was him. I felt like I was in a horror movie, like right before, the killer is right before you. And it's a paralyzing fear that you feel that at any moment, if he turned around, I'm dead.
Melissa Kuntz believes the man who killed her cousin is William Bosco Lyles. Her mother, Louise Kuntz, isn't surprised. She tells investigators he's been harassing the family since their breakup a few months ago.
William Lyles was known as Bosco. He was from Highland Park. He served in the armed forces and he worked at Chrysler.
My mother was legally separated from my father and she was going through a divorce. So she started dating Bosco right after he got out of the service. He presented himself as a family-loving man, someone who loved children, who loved to be around children. So she thought that this would be a great opportunity for her to find love again. My mom and dad divorce was finalized on September the 11th of 1978, and soon thereafter he moved in. He would do things like take us out on a picnic. We'll go to the movies, we'll go out and eat. I like to call that like the honeymoon phase.
But the honeymoon didn't last long.
He changed. He wasn't that little quiet person that came in that she thought was gonna be a big help. Bosco's real personality came out.
Before Bosco moved in, we had an open family relationship. You could talk, it was okay to laugh, it was okay to smile. You could have fun, you could play with your toys and do things like that. Once Bosco moved in, that dynamics changed completely. He had a vision of how he wanted a family life to be, and he expected us to conform to his way of thinking and acting and behaving. He was very much of a neat freak, control freak, and very much of a bully. He picked on people that he knew that he can get away with picking on.
He started demanding, I would say, the girls to do what he wanted and how he wanted to be done. And also, like for Louise, he demanded her paycheck.
Louise tells police Bosco also became increasingly abusive toward her.
He would push her, slap her, hit her with a fist, and he would demean her in front of the children and in front of other people.
And this is the kind of senseless abuse that she endured and that her children witnessed over the years of being with Bosco.
Louise invited her cousin Melvin to live with him, hoping his easygoing nature would help diffuse the tension.
He was not a big guy, he was not muscular, he was not a tough guy, but she felt that a male presence may serve as a deterrent.
Melvin was, how would I put it, was he timid, like a real peaceful type guy.
Melvin would take us out on walks just to get out the house and so we wouldn't be exposed to it. Because Melvin was just as afraid of Bosco as what we were.
Louise explains to detectives that the situation continued to spiral out of control. Then one night, Bosco sexually assaulted her in front of her daughters.
We were in the den when it started off. My mom had the TV volume low and she was trying not to disturb him. He came downstairs and he was motioning for my mom to come upstairs with him. My mother said no. He picked her up and was trying to carry her up the stairs so that he could have sex with her. And my mother kept telling him no. She put her arms out to block herself from being able to go up the stairs. So he threw her on the living room floor. I ran upstairs to get my shoes so I could run out the house. When I came downstairs, what I saw was my mom had her hands over her face, but you could see the tears streaming from her eyes. She was laying on the floor in the living room. And he was trying to spread her legs. And I saw this fireplace poker. And I struck him over the back. And it was like he turned around and I could have swore I saw Satan himself.
Melissa Coons tells police how when she witnessed Bosco Lyles trying to sexually assault her mother, Louise, she stopped the attack. At the time, authorities did little to help.
Back in the 80s, there wasn't a lot of laws to protect anyone against domestic violence. Police would come to the house and they would want to separate everybody, cool off for a period of time, and that was pretty much it.
Afterwards, her family took matters into their own hands.
When I shared everything with my grandmother that has happened, she was disgusted. She was outraged. She was furious. And she called my Uncle Henry. My Uncle Henry was a protector of the family. And Bosco didn't mess with my Uncle Henry because he knew that he didn't stand a chance. Bosco thrived on knowing that somebody wasn't gonna fight back or that he can overpower them. And Uncle Henry wasn't like that at all.
My brother Henry packed up Bosco's items and they was kicking them out of the house.
So when my Uncle Henry came to the house, Bosco so happened to be at the house. Eventually, Bosco went down to his mother's house.
But Bosco didn't get angry at Uncle Henry.
Bosco went around telling people that the whole source of the problem between him and Louise was Melvin.
He didn't want to accept that things was over, and he chose to blame the person that actually was the least culpable for everything. He could not accept that he was responsible for his own action and the demise of the relationship.
He wanted to get back at Louise. He wanted to get back at the family. And he picked someone that he thought he could kill.
To detectives, the family's story fits the evidence. Bosco has both the motive and the means to carry out his threat.
The house was pitch black. It was dark, but the person who had committed this crime was able to move about as if they knew the layout of the home without bumping into anything. He knew that there was a dog that was kept in the basement, and the dog could possibly alarm somebody that he was in the house.
Detectives at this point are thinking that Bosco is the prime suspect. They began looking for him. They enlisted the aid of tracking dogs to try and track and see which way he had gone.
Police dogs pick up a scent from the attacker's shoes left at the crime scene. It leads them directly to Bosco's parents' house.
There were 3 men in the home: Bosco, his brother, and their father.
They instructed them that whoever the police dog went to was the one that they was going to detain for further questioning.
And the dog indicates by sitting next to a person that they are looking for. And the dog indicated on the socks that male had on. It turned out to be Bosco's brother, Bobby Lyle.
Police are surprised by the unexpected turn of events and take Bobby in for questioning. In the interrogation room, Bobby denies any involvement in Melvin's murder. He claims he's been asleep in his bedroom all night.
He wasn't able to really give any explanation as to why the canines led to him, other than he indicated that he felt like he was being framed. He stated that he had been at home, asleep that night. He did recall or remember somebody kind of messing with his feet and his socks being removed.
Authorities have to consider the possibility that Bosco set his brother up by putting the socks he wore during the murder on Bobby's feet as he slept. Investigators eventually decide Bobby is telling the truth.
He did not have the motive, or he did not know the layout of the home well enough to commit that crime.
But by the time they return to question Bosco, he's already gone.
They detained the brother, which gave Bosco enough time to get away. And that's what he did. He went on the run.
Less than 48 hours have passed since Melvin Weathers was stabbed to death, and the man investigators believe is responsible, Bosco Lyles, is now on the run.
Detectives obtained a search warrant to search Bosco's home, and when they do that, they find a diary that has details of what Bosco may have planned to do to Louise and her family.
I believe he wrote 24 times, "Louise, I am going to kill you." And then 7 times, "Louise, you are dead. Louise, you are dead." He had an entry saying that I'm gonna kill Louise, comma, her new so-called man, comma, Melvin, comma, and whoever else is in the house.
Based on the evidence gathered so far, the court issues an arrest warrant for Bosco on charges of first-degree murder. But he continues to evade capture.
In 1983, it would have been much easier for Bosco to run away. There was no social media at the time. Cell phones were just coming on the scene. It would allow a person to be more anonymous, say, than now.
For my family, it was very frustrating to know that the man who actually committed this crime is not behind bars. It was a sense of panic and fear that he could come and retaliate at any time to finish off what he started.
Years pass with no new developments, and the case goes cold. Then, in 2001, a natural disaster complicates any further investigation.
There was a tornado that hit the city of Highland Park, and all of the physical evidence that was associated with the case was now destroyed.
Louise Kuntz never gives up hope that her cousin's killer will be brought to justice. But those dreams are dashed in 2007.
Louise, she passed away before the case was solved.
While going through Louise's belongings, Melissa finds an article about the murder in her purse.
That felt like it was a sign. I felt that I had to complete what was started years ago, and that I was going to personally seek justice for my family, as we were longtime victims of this diabolical monster for years.
At that point, it has been more than 2 decades since Melvin was killed. Melissa decides to go back to college and earn a degree in criminal justice.
The fact that all this time has passed and nothing has been done with Bosco propelled me forward to continue and motivated me to make sure that I understood a portion of the law and be able to work within it to help me.
In order to attack a cold case, you need to constantly be on top of it. You should always be looking, always trying to find information, always researching. And Melissa checked all of those boxes, and she never gave up.
After graduating in 2011, Melissa reaches out to detectives about reopening the case.
I remember sitting at my desk, and Melissa called. She began to pour out this tale of the murder, what had happened, and I could feel her resilience and her determination to get this case resolved.
I felt as if he could hear my story and feel that little girl cry, feel that all the emotions of that little child going through the things that we had to witness, that justice would be served, that he would be able to bring closure.
I tried to impress upon her, let me do the legwork and the looking around. You just keep up with the paperwork and that end.
I called the City of Highland Park courts to see what information that they had. My name was on the original list of the people who was in the house on the original warrant.
The court clerk listened to her, took the information, and went in the storage room and actually found the original warrant that had been issued for Bosco.
That means investigators will once again be able to arrest Bosco, if they can find him. Melissa searches real estate records looking for names of former associates and discovers there is a Lyles now living in Oak Park.
When I got the address to where the Lyles family was living, my intent on going there was to find out if anyone of the Lyles remembered the incident. I just wanted to ask about and find out any information I could about Bosco. When we arrived at the address, we pulled up almost in front, and there was an individual sitting on the front porch. We approached, and I remember that individual looking at me with a very strange and perplexed look. I told the individual why we were there, and I asked him his name. He said something very generic, like Joe Jones. And I said, well, sir, you live here? And he said he was visiting from Mississippi. And that struck me as a bit odd. Looking at his age, I thought he might be Bosco 28 years later. So I asked the individual, I said, well, sir, could we take a picture of you? And he agreed. We sent the picture to Melissa Kuntz while we were standing there. And in a couple minutes, Melissa sent a text back. She said, it's been a lot of years, but that's him.
After almost 30 years, Melissa Kuntz has made good on her promise to get justice for the murder of her cousin, Melvin Weathers. With her help, investigators have finally caught up with this elusive killer, Bosco Lyles.
Upon seeing the picture that Detective Thomas sent to me, it was like, oh my God. I was in shock that he found him. I was shaking uncontrollably, and I was filled with emotions like, oh my God, you finally got him. He looked like he aged at least 50 years, and he looked horrible, but you could tell it was him. He just looked like he'd been through hell.
Police arrest Bosco and charge him with first-degree murder. His trial begins in January 2013, 28 years after he allegedly stabbed Melvin to death. But with the physical evidence from the murder long vanished, there's no guarantee prosecutors will be able to get a conviction.
At trial, some of the investigators that worked on this case were not subpoenaed. Most had retired, some had died, some could not recall the facts of the case. And for that reason, they were not asked to testify.
Instead, the state focuses on Bosco's motives and history of domestic abuse.
Bosco had threatened Louise many times and some other family members. And neighbors had seen Bosco threaten Louise and seen acts of physical abuse that he committed in front of the house outside.
I knew of the constant phone calls. I knew the constant terrorizing of him driving by our street. So I knew that fear.
Bosco's own words in his diary suggest he wanted to kill Melvin and Louise, and he knew his way around the house well enough to break in and do it.
Bosco had lived at that house. He knew where the electrical panel was. He knew that the knives were kept in a butcher block in the kitchen.
But the strongest evidence against him comes from Melissa.
Melissa's testimony at trial was powerful, overwhelming, and it was riveting. She had prepared for decades for that moment.
During my testimony, I actually explained to the jurors of everything that we had to go through leading up to Bosco killing my cousin. I was able to convey to the court how the abuse that we suffered at Bosco's hands, that we witnessed, the rape that we witnessed. I also went into details of the night that Melvin was murdered, what I actually witnessed, and why I believed it was Bosco.
Bosco had a distinctive odor. He was almost like he lived in a dumpster, and if you smelled that odor, you knew it was him. That odor told you who that was.
Bosco's attorneys argue that there is no physical evidence connecting him to the crime, which means there's no way for the jury to find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Defense presented several witnesses, and they highlighted the misidentification of Bosco's brother.
Looking at Bosco in court, he looked unbothered. His reaction was as if he was just someone just sitting there as a bystander, no one that was on trial for murder. He didn't look like he was scared, timid, anything like that.
On January 22nd, 2013, the jury returns a verdict. They find William Bosco Lyles guilty on all charges, and a judge sentences him to life in prison without parole.
We hugged, we clapped, and celebrated afterward. I mean, it was a joyful occasion for us. Lisa cried out, "Melvin, you got justice."
I was grateful and elated that justice was served. Well done, the City of Highland Park, Detective Paul Thomas.
It was a fantastic feeling for me to know that this case had come to a conclusion and that Bosco had been found, that Melissa and her family were going to get some resolution to the case, and that I was able to be a part of it.
Bosco's act was an act of revenge. Melissa's was an act of justice. It wasn't revenge. She could never be paid back for the loss of her childhood, the loss of her family, the loss of her security, her safety.